My best friend complained constantly at my wedding, so I'm kicking her out.
If you're complaining about my wedding, you're not going to see
it at all. So my husband, 33 male, we'll call him Nathan, and I, 32 male, got married in November. We decided on a very small and intimate elopement in Colorado with my son, 6 male. Nathan's pastor, his 2 best friends, the groomsmen, a few of the church friends that took care of the instrumentals, lighting, and video, and my ex-best friend, drama,
spoilers,
who will call Karen my maid of honor. By the way, this comes from Little Bo Ganja. If you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OK Storytime subreddit. So I booked a beautiful Airbnb cabin for our stay. It had a stunning master bedroom and enough guest beds for the bridal party to stay free of charge.
Ooh.
Nathan paid for the entire Airbnb by himself since I paid for my dress and plane tickets for myself and my son. Nathan also paid for the food that they stocked the Airbnb with before we got there. Now, Karen and I have been best friends for nearly 18 years. Karen is a self-absorbed person. Karen is also very much dependent on the green. And I'm fairly sure she's undiagnosed bipolar or something, because the way this woman can go from 0 to 100 witch mode is both shocking and appalling. Her husband gets the brunt of it, and I feel so bad for him. We have stayed friends with her for that long because I'm a recovering people pleaser, and I knew I was the only friend she had left. So I felt bad and stayed in contact, hanging out only when she asked, which became much less frequent over the years. Truthfully, I wasn't even going to invite her to be part of my wedding, but at one point, her children's birthday parties about 2 months prior, she asked me when was the next time I was going to Colorado, where my husband lives, because we were doing LDR. We live together now. What's LDR? Long distance relationship. This is when I spilled the beans about the wedding, and then she said she was coming with me because she needed a vacation away. I was not thrilled, but figured at least I'd have someone to stand on my side now. But you want that one? You want that person? You want that person to be your maid of honor? That's crazy. That's like a sacred position in the...
Yeah. You don't got anyone else?
I should mention, when we texted about it afterwards, I asked her if there was anything in particular you'd like to do or go see, since it would be her first time in Colorado. She responded saying she didn't care that we could do anything I wanted, since it was my wedding weekend, that it should be all about me and Nathan, and that she'd be fine to just hang out in the Airbnb and watch my son if we wanted to go do stuff on our own or something that she didn't want to do, like go hiking. She made up all these different excuses as to why she couldn't hike and gave me some serious attitude when I tried suggesting solutions and ways for her to join us on the hike to make it more comfortable for her. So Opie's trying to include her, and she's like, no.
Hiking stinks.
Hiking stinks. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Literally nothing strenuous at all. And I offered her ample clothing for warmth. Again, why are you trying to include someone who's so obviously...
Yeah, the worst.
Yeah, exactly. The worst. I was simply trying to make sure she felt included, but I was met with, "Are you stupid?" types of responses with major attitude. Remember this for later. So I think we're going to get some... Yeah.
I can't forget it.
Anyways, a week prior to the trip, Karen asked me to have Nathan get her little green puff vape for when we get off the airplane, because she said, the moment I get in the car, I need it because my anxiety will be through the roof after dealing with the airport. I mentioned it to Nathan a few times over the week, but his busy schedule didn't allow him time to go to the dispensary, which was 40 plus minutes out of the way. Karen was livid that there would be no substances ready for her. Nathan assured her we would stop on the way to the Airbnb and she could pick up whatever she wanted. What Karen failed to mention until we pulled up to the dispensary was that her driver's license was expired, so she tried to go in and was even more pissed when the woman at the desk turned her away. She got back in the car and screamed at me that this is why he needed to get the vape before I got here, as if this was our fault and our problem. So we're already off.
Just tell her
to
to
a
leave.
Great start. Why
is she still
is she
here?
here? Nathan went into the dispensary and accidentally got the wrong thing, so I went in with him second time and tried to get the arrow cartridge she was talking about. I must have misunderstood or got my wires crossed when she was screaming like a banshee about not having the vape pen ready for her when she got off the plane, because I thought she said she had her arrow battery in her bag, but apparently it was at home and this dispensary did not have batteries in stock. She became even more irate, so Nathan went back in one final time to get her a different disposable vape. As we drove to the grocery store for snacks, I took a deep breath, hoping since the beast had her substance and was about to get a Snickers bar, she would finally calm down.
And the only reason I'm saying addiction is because she's screaming at people.
Yeah.
I feel like there are definitely different ways of reacting.
We go inside and I'm just browsing, chilling, and picking out my snacks. when she starts to become visibly annoyed with how long I'm taking. We weren't in the store for more than 10 minutes at this point, so I head to the checkout line and pay while Nathan goes to use the bathroom since it's a 45-minute drive to the Airbnb. And can you guess who was pissed off to wait for him? So now we get to the Airbnb. The good old boys, the groomsmen, are cooking dinner and waiting to help us get inside since it had snowed at least a foot that day. The steep driveway wasn't plowed for Nathan's vegan car to drive up. His words, not mine. The boys grabbed our bags and drove us up the driveway in one of their trucks. More context, both the groomsmen are military friends of Nathan, who is an 8-year Army veteran for himself. And friend A is happy, cheery sweetheart, who I adore as my son's new uncle. Watching him and my son play warmed my heart so much that I could have burst from joy. Friend B, we'll call him Cal, is much more reserved and quiet, a darker personality. He's been through a lot and struggles with depression, but he's a good guy at heart, and we love him no matter what. I made sure Karen knew and thought she understood that if Cal doesn't talk to her or respond or show much interest in things, not take it personally, and said, please don't get offended. It's not you. It's a him thing. Cal was actually the one making us dinner that night. Cal also helped shovel the porch area so we could get inside the cabin. And it was Cal who drove his truck to help us get up the hill. Friend A also helped, of course, but Cal did a lot. So thank yous were in order. Karen became offended the very first night when Cal didn't say, you're welcome, after she said thank you for dinner.
I said thank you and he didn't even say you're welcome.
How dare you? You should say thank you for my you're welcome.
Yeah, she probably like sneezed and someone forgot to say
Yeah. I assured her Cal didn't acknowledge anyone's thank you, even mine. It's just how he is. I reminded her not to take offense because it's not personal. She didn't accept this. The next day was our rehearsal at church, but Karen said she needed to get a pair of warm boots since all she bought was a pair of boat shoes and her dress shoes. She knew there would be snow, so I don't understand why she didn't pack for the weather we'd be in. But we made the adjustment. Originally, she said, I don't care where we go. We could go to Walmart and I'll just find any pair of boots because my feet are freezing and my shoes are wet. Then at some point, she started asking what place sells Uggs. Nathan didn't know off the top of his head, so I did my best to search on my phone. As we started driving, I saw Walmart and told Nathan to pull in, so he parks. We get out of the car, start walking towards the door, and suddenly, Karen no longer just wants some cheap pair of Walmart boots. No, they must be Uggs. Karen needs Uggs. Yeah, no free sponsors.
Uggs.
She made sure I knew how stupid I must be to think she would wear poor people knockoff Uggs from Walmart. Annoyed and biting my tongue, we set off for one of the locations that my phone says sells Uggs. We get there, they don't have them, so she's mad. We end up going to the mall that's much further away because they would 100% have them. And I just wanted her to stop with the attitude. But even though she got her Uggs, she still found things to complain about before even leaving the mall. I don't know what's up with this because this person sucks.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's this behavior sucks. This is behavior that you don't invite to one of your most momentous moments.
This type of behavior should catch a flight back to wherever it came from.
This behavior should be uninvited from the wedding.
This behavior is not the type of behavior you want as in your maid of honor.
100%. Get this behavior out of here.
Yeah.
So now we get to the church rehearsal and everything seemed fine until Karen walked up to me and starts complaining about Cal again, telling me she thanked him when he held out the door open for her. So the least he could do is effing respond. She went on to say, it's not my fault. He's so effed in the head. Well, don't make him more effed in the head by complaining and being annoying. At this point, I was livid, practically biting through my tongue. And I knew our friendship was over after this weekend.
That was the moment?
Yeah.
Not anything else?
I told myself to just be nice, get through the weekend, and never speak to her again after she goes home. I have dealt with her behavior much like this for the full 18 years we've been friends. It caused many fights, but I had always found a way to forgive her. Like I said, I am a recovering people pleaser. I've been working hard to stand up for myself and less self-absorbed person because behaviors out of my life are the root. And that night, a switch just flipped in me. And I no longer cared to make her happy anymore. I just wanted to enjoy my wedding weekend and be done with her. The next day was my wedding. We were getting ready in the church bathroom and I gave her a corsage that matched my bouquet. I noticed she still had her Apple Watch on her other wrist as she was finished getting ready. So I simply said as nicely as possible, "Oh, don't forget to take that off before we go out," pointing to her watch. Her response was instantly nasty, 0 to 100, saying, I'm not taking this off. I have 3 kids at home. There's no way I'm going to be this far from them with no contact. You might as well have thought I slapped her across the face and told her to leave her phone at the Airbnb for the whole day, not just a tech-free 30-minute wedding ceremony. She's like, don't have a phone at the wedding for 30 minutes. How dare you?
Yeah.
What if one of my kids is choking? What if one of my kids is
Sam told me
drowning?
To put my phone on the phone box.
Yeah, how are you doing?
Good. I'm fine.
Fine.
What if I have to check on my children?
After angrily texting her husband, she ends up switching the watch to her other wrist and tucking it under the corsage. I'm sure he mentioned this to her since he was a good head on his shoulders. Like, why did this have to be so dramatic? The ceremony goes beautifully, and we all stand around talking for a bit before getting ready to go to the brewery we reserved for our dinner and the cake cutting. I told them I needed to pin up the train of my dress before we go, so I go into the big stall to take off my dress and pin up the train since only I knew how to do it. And meanwhile, Karen went into the other stalls to take off her dress and put on some jeans and a sweatshirt. I honestly would not have cared if she wanted to wear that to her little reception, but when I came out, she saw I was still in my dress and she flipped out, screaming at me, asking why I was still wearing my wedding dress and claiming that I told her I was changing into something else. I told her I never said that and stated I told both her and my son separately, but in front of her as I entered the stall, that I was just pinning up my train so it wasn't dragging on the floor while we go eat dinner. I was very specific in my wording, especially as I explained it to my son while she was standing 4 feet away. Karen storms back into the stall, slams things, putting her maid of honor dress back on. Again, why is this person here? I don't understand how you didn't see how this behavior is just not worthy of your life.
It's a Make-A-Wish.
A Make-A-Wish. She's a Make-A-Wish kid.
Yeah, but
Her
like,
final wish. Yeah, but for
anxiety.
friends.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, your last wish as my friend of 18 years and soon to be ex-friend.
It's like whenever you're about to like get rid of a friend, you have to do like a Make-A-Wish for them.
Yeah, it's like your dog's last day before you put him down. It's like, we're gonna give you the best food.
Best weekend ever.
Yeah, we're gonna go on a big walk.
Yeah.
And then boom.
She's like,
done.
I want to go walk.
Karen storms back into the stall, slamming things and putting her maid of honor dress back on. It was a dress that she picked and paid for herself. I just requested the color to be either mauve or wine. And it was definitely not an expensive dress by any means, about $50. And she complained about feeling insecure that her chest was out, but she picked it.
Girl.
After she put it back on, she stormed past everyone to a room by herself where she proceeded to call her husband and complain about how he was treating her, our brief argument in the bathroom. And she refused to look or speak to me, so I decided to be dazed and happily married without a care in the world that she was present. I enjoyed the rest of my night at the brewery, smiling and being genuinely happy with my true best friend, my husband. I can only imagine how pissed she was every time people throughout the brewery clinked their silverware against their glasses for us to kiss. It was beautiful. I'm glad that you were able to have a nice wedding
good time regardless.
in the face of that's not easy to do when someone's actively being a poopy head. Karen stayed silent the rest of the night while I enjoyed spending time with my husband and our son. The next morning, I made breakfast, but Karen didn't come upstairs until 1 p.m. She was probably being annoying. We had agreed to head out as a group and enjoy the day and talked about getting Korean barbecue. And now, me trying to be a good friend, realized she hadn't eaten all day and was likely famished. Can't she just find a way to eat herself? The Airbnb was far from civilization and even further from the Korean barbecue place. Okay, that makes sense. Maybe it was hard to go drive or whatever.
I don't know.
Where we were planning to go was an hour 45 away, so about 20 minutes into our drive, I saw the pub that was next to the grocery store, which she said she needed to go to get more snacks and stuff. So I told Nathan, hey, pull in here. We can grab a quick bite for lunch, hit the grocery store, and then head into town, thinking we could have Korean barbecue for dinner. I was thinking of her trying to get food in her system and the things that she needed from the grocery store. Plus, my son was also hungry, actively asking for food as well. She gets out of the car and starts going off about how she's been treated like a child all weekend, how she has to sit in the backseat like a child, how she isn't asked where she wants to go or what she wants to do or what she wants to eat. She can't even listen to the kind of music she likes. We mostly listen to lo-fi on the drives because it's calming. We often do this, not just particular this weekend. Plus, who doesn't like lo-fi? I mean, lo-fi is fine.
Yeah.
It's definitely not hype.
No.
But it's relaxing.
It's lo-fi.
It's like good music to study to.
Yeah.
Lo-fi beats to study to.
Yeah.
I lost it. I broke and became an unhinged version of myself that I just shouted everything I felt with zero filter in front of the pub. Again, not a good move to do, but understandable with how much she was putting you through.
Yeah.
So I stopped, passed away, stared at her in disbelief and said, "Are you effing kidding me? I am done. I was literally trying to feed you so you wouldn't become a nasty witch, but here we are. What do you want to sit next to my husband in the front seat? You want to hold his hand too? And you can't listen to the music you like? You literally have both effing headphones in your ears listening to your own effing music off your phone. Get your butt back in the effing car. We're going back to the Airbnb so you can pack up your crap, and we're taking you to the effing airport so you can go home because I am done."
Ooh, you poked the bear and you got the claws.
OP went off.
Dang,
Again,
man.
not a great move,
Justified a-hole here.
but justified a-hole.
Justified
I
a-hole.
mean, this Karen was terrible.
Asking
Also,
for,
but like OP, the planning of this all, like you gotta know
Well,
this person is
it seems like
terrible.
someone was saying, as a reminder, Karen did kind of force herself onto this trip. And OP and
Yeah.
like the people-pleasing
But
nature was like, okay.
say no. Say no. And
You
also,
gotta say no.
I'm sure it's quite the show for people all around. While I yelled all of this at her, she started calling her husband saying, "See, this is what I've been dealing with. You hear how she's talking to me? It took everything in me not to knock her the F out. I was so enraged. She wouldn't respond to me and eventually got back in the car after we did. She just sat in the phone mostly in silence. My husband and I talked about how crappy and ungrateful she was being the whole weekend while my son joined in from the back seat saying, 'Yeah, you're going to the airport.' I was half proud he was defending me and half mortified that he had to endure this ridiculous incident. For the record, he's perfectly healthy, fine, and happy. I never yell like that in front of him. We get back to the Airbnb and she hides in her room until the Uber pulls up 2 hours later. I'm happy to say we had the best time after she left. It was like a breath of fresh air filled the cabin. It was just our little family enjoying the most beautiful time together. It may have been more dramatic than I expected my wedding weekend to be, but I'm glad he's no longer in my life. So after she left, I went downstairs to check things out and make sure she didn't damage anything. She thought putting all the clean towels in the shower and soaking them would upset me.
Oh no, the towels are wet.
That is
Well, what will we
so
do?
petty. Honey, it was literally right next to the washing machine. By the way, you can listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime. There's a little bit more to the story, and I'm just going to bulldoze right through it. So she also rolled up her dress and threw it in the bathroom trash can and left the chain to the necklace I gave her as a maid of honor gift on top of the trash. With a pendant missing to show she clearly flushed it down the toilet. Like she really thought I cared about a $35 pendant. I'd pay more to get rid of her all over again, but that's just me being cynical at this point. So yeah, we closed on our new home 2 days after Christmas, and we're now living our best life happily ever after with none of the drama. Am I the a-hole? You know, you shouldn't have invited her in the first place. You were too nice in the beginning. She pushed you to the edge. Yes. Should you yell at people? No, it's an a-hole move. Should you yell in front of your kid? No, a-hole move. But do we understand? Yes, I think justified a-hole is where we're going to leave it.
Woo!
But yeah, that is our Karen story.